So tell us a little bit about how much research did you do for this?
Well, I mean, I had already been watching a couple. So he's a speedrunner, which is this sort of like gaming subculture where you try and beat a video game as quickly as possible. So when you see the timer at the bottom of the screen while he's playing the game, that's what that is. He's speedrunning, and it's a big thing. It's become pretty big, and there's a lot of Twitch streamers who do it. So I had been watching some of them, and some of them are not like this at all. It's just all different types of people. But there was a couple guys who I thought were very. I found them very funny and also very like self-deprecating, and they had this really wild dynamic and back and forth with their audience that would watch them on Twitch. So I kind of based this guy on them. So.
Cool. So I guess there's an interesting dynamic. Seems like both of the female characters are kind of attracted to him on some level, but also repulsed by him as well.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, I think. The younger girl, Mani-chan, she is, but I think she might just be like a confused teenager. I don't know if she really is, or she's just like, oh, this is a guy who I watch all the time, and he's here. That's cool, Whereas I don't know if I would say that the soy boy, the Jesse Pinnock character, is attracted to him. I just think, I just don't think that she like disliked him,
Yeah. It's good enough.
Right.
Cool. And so how did you, actually in Soy Boy, she's a very interesting character. How did you conceptualize her?
It's just, I feel like all of the characters, I tried to make them complex, but I tried to make them like really start from just kind of a stereotype. Like he's kind of a stereotype, she's kind of a stereotype, just like the average barista you see in a coffee shop in Brooklyn, just, so.
Right.
Visually. Yeah. We drew tattoos onto her arms because she didn't have tattoos. So.
Questions from the audience?
I feel like some of the subject matter you explored and some of the character types you explored were interesting and potentially contentious for some audiences, which I find to be personally a little bit refreshing to see from an audience.
Thank you. Thanks.
Like as a writer and as someone who's creating this type of work, how do you sort of justify that? How do you sort of rationalize that? What draws you to that? This type of character,
I don't know. It's just that type of character is really exciting to me because I mean, for one, I like characters who the whole movie you never quite know exactly how to feel about them. I really like that, and I don't like movies where it really tells you how to feel about everybody, tells you how to feel about him, tells you how to feel about her. And just, I don't know, I've always liked subject matter that's a little taboo. I know there's been movies about, white losers since the beginning of independent films, but like this one, a little I wanted it to be more like of right now than just kind of that in a general sense, So.
Who else has a question? It's hard to see. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You said something about self-deprecation earlier. Do you like that a lot when
Yeah.
comedy?
I like that a lot in comedy. I like that a lot in writing. I like stuff that. Well, I like how it's kind of dark and uncomfortable and kind of shocking. When I would watch the streams, some of the streams that for a couple of the guys that this is based on, they're very dark and kind of like they really make fun of themselves, which I think is very funny, but also kind of sad because I think sometimes it actually does point to something a little deeper where maybe they actually don't like themselves, So, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Did you have any thoughts on pacing when you were writing this?
Thank you. Yeah, I guess. I mean, so it was originally a feature, and then I don't have any money, so we made it way shorter, And pacing, I don't know, I liked the idea of there being like these long scenes of him streaming and just like talking to the audience. And I also, it's become a lot tighter. We cut a lot of stuff out. But I like, I don't know if this is really pacing, but I like just long like conversations, like drawn out conversations. So, yeah.
Anyone else? What was it like? I guess I'm curious what it was like on set. Was it very tightly scripted, or was because your performers seem very like
it's hard to say. It kind of was and it kind of wasn't. A lot of the stuff that seems improvised actually wasn't, and some of the stuff that seems improvised wasn't improvised. I would say. Like some of the streaming scene stuff that Jack says is improvised and some of it isn't. Obviously, all of the chat messages are very deliberate. Like we wrote in what they're supposed to say, you know. And I think there was maybe actually the most improvising in the coffee shop scenes because the two actors, Jack and Jesse, they actually know each other in person and they really kind of just like. They worked like on their own, just like developing the characters and just like talking. So I'd say a lot of their conversations in the coffee shops are like maybe like 50% like improvised. Yeah. So
nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Anyone else? So I guess are you gonna collaborate again with the same group of people, or
I'd love
what projects
to.
do you have?
Yeah, I'd love to. You know, there's no. It's in a little bit of a purgatory now. There's no real like things on the horizon to collaborate with them on. You know, like I said, there's a feature script of this, but I'm just sitting on it. And I have some other scripts, but I'm just sitting on them. And John is always working on stuff, but he does a lot of directing commercials and that sort of thing. So I would love to work with all of these people again. They were super talented, but right now there's nothing like directly on the horizon. Yeah. So.
Well, thank you so much for
Thank you.
sharing with
Thanks.
us and for coming out to Mammoth Lakes.
Thank you.